Good morning, everyone, and welcome to meeting number 106 of the Standing Committee on Fisheries and Oceans, Tuesday, June 5th. Today we are going to be reviewing the main estimates, 2018-19, votes 1, 5, and 10 under the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. And I would also like to welcome with us today a number of people who are no stranger to this committee. We have Deputy Minister Catherine Blewett, Kevin Stringer, Associate Deputy Minister, Jen O'Donoghue, Assistant Deputy Minister and Chief Financial Officer, Jeffrey Hutchinson, Commissioner of the Canadian Coast Guard, Sylvie Lapointe, from Assistant Deputy Minister, Fisheries and Harbour Management, Philippe Morel, Assistant Deputy Minister, Aquatic Ecosystem Sector, Mario Pelletier, Deputy Commissioner, Operations, Canadian Coast Guard. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. So thank you all for attending. Now, I understand that what we have this morning is, instead of 2 10-minute opening remarks, we'd like one session of 20. So instead of doing a number of back and forth, we'll just go with the one. And I believe we also would like to welcome to committee today Monsieur Deltel. Thank you for joining us, and Mr. Poliev from Saint Laurent and from Carleton. Correct. Thank you so much for joining us today. So we will get started then with Ms. Blewett for your opening remarks, please.
Bonjour, Madame la Présidente.
Good morning, Madam Chair. It's a pleasure to be here with you to discuss the main estimates for 2018-2019, which were tabled in mid-April.
Madam Chair, you have introduced our party, so I will skip that and save a little bit of time for the committee. To begin with, I want to thank you for this opportunity to share the significant results we have achieved for Canadians. Through the main estimates for 2018-19, the Department's total budget for this fiscal year amounts to $2.5 billion. This represents a net increase of $244.7 million over last year. This increase is mainly due to new funding for the Oceans Protection Plan, maintaining mission-critical services to Canadians, the Atlantic Fisheries Fund, and the ongoing renewal and expansion of Indigenous fisheries programs and initiatives. Je souhaite saisir cette occasion.
I want to take this opportunity to provide some examples of how DFO and the Coast Guard are using this funding to meet the needs and expectations of Canadians.
Far-reaching benefits in coastal and Indigenous communities on all three coasts from our Oceans Protection Plan. For example, initial training has been completed for the crew of a new inshore rescue boat station in Rankin Inlet. Starting this summer, crew members will be able to provide assistance to mariners in local waters who are in distress or in need of help, and will also be able to share valuable information on boating safety when needed. The Maritime Rescue Sub-Centre in St. John's has been officially reopened. This sub-centre is being staffed around the clock by highly trained maritime search and rescue coordinators who coordinate the on-the-water responses to maritime rescue incidents in the unique, challenging, and often dangerous waters off Newfoundland and Labrador. The Oceans Protection Plan is also funding a unique training program on Vancouver Island, which pairs traditional Indigenous knowledge with the Coast Guard's search and rescue expertise. To date, 27 members of 20 First Nations communities in BC have graduated from 3 Coastal Nations search and rescue courses that are helping to build on the role they already play in maritime safety in their communities. The OPP's $75 million Coastal Restoration Fund is also being implemented on all 3 coasts with the help of our many partners. Last year, Fisheries and Oceans received $167 million that was used to shore up a number of key program areas. They include Coast Guard assets and core activities, our science and fisheries management, including conservation and protection, as well as the physical infrastructure and information technology needed to carry out our mandate. I'd like to give you a few just very quick examples. Funding to operate and refurbish aging ships is helping us to ensure that the government will be able to provide reliable, essential marine services until new vessels from the National Shipbuilding Program are put into service. Commissioner Hutchison and Mr. Pelche will be able to provide any details on the Coast Guard's work for the committee. As you know, Budget 2018 provides for $250 million over 2 years for improvements at small craft harbours across Canada. This is in line with the government's commitment to support harbours, local economies, and foster job creation. Members of this committee had expressed a desire to learn which of the projects will be going forward, including when engineering and construction work is to begin. And I expect that the Minister will very soon be in a position to share this information with you. We're also working to ensure the sustainable use of the ocean's resources and improve how fisheries are managed on the high seas through monitoring, control, and surveillance to curb incidents of illegal fishing and improving international fisheries and oceans governance over the long term. Curbing IUU fishing is a priority for Canada, and actually today, Canada is joining the United Nations General Assembly and the global community in observing an official day, June 5th, to promote awareness of the need to combat IUU fishing. Protecting species on the high seas and in our domestic waters is a priority. Alors que la population des baleines.
As the North Atlantic right whale population returns, the government has put in place a number of measures to try and prevent any further deaths from occurring this summer.
The committee know that late yesterday we received word that there are in fact 75 of the North Atlantic right whales in the Gulf waters as of yesterday, so the population really is moving, and it's quite a change. Minister LeBlanc already announced several changes to the 2018 snow crab fishery in the southern Gulf of the St. Lawrence that will help protect right whales from getting entangled in fishing gear. Important work is also happening on the West Coast with respect to the recovery and the protection of the southern resident killer whales. We've actively been working to protect this endangered species by recently implementing closures to the Chinook fishery in areas where those whales feed and where they forage, introducing new rules that prohibit vessels from approaching closer than 200 meters, which will help minimize noise disturbance and allow the whales to feed more easily. And we are continuing to work with our partners on issues related to critical habitat. In addition to protecting mariners and the marine environment, federal funding for DFO is essential for achieving reconciliation with Indigenous peoples, fostering trade, developing clean technologies, investing in coastal communities, and improving economic opportunities. Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will now turn it over to Ms. O'Donoghue before taking questions.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and committee members. As the Deputy indicated, my name is Jen O'Donoghue, Dirigeant Principal des Finances de Pêche Océan et Garde Côtière.
I'm the principal for... So we're going to do a quick overview of the main estimates for 2018-2019.
We'll allow plenty of time to go through any questions the committee may have. I will invite you to follow along using the PowerPoint presentation, which I believe all of you guys have a copy of. So as outlined on slide 3 of the presentation, the timing of the estimates has changed in 2018-19. Minister Bryson tabled interim estimates back in February to ensure departments were able to start the fiscal year. The key change is the timing of main estimates, which now follows budget. As with all supply bills, they are referred to committee where the contents are studied before voting actually takes place, which is why we are here today. The government tabled main estimates after the budget to better reflect budget priorities. This provides greater clarity and transparency to Canadian and makes it easier for you as parliamentarians to scrutinize the estimates as part of your oversight of government spending. I will also quickly like to note that our resources are no longer presented using the program activity architecture, program alignment architecture. We now present for information purposes only our resources using our new departmental results framework. In the main estimates, specifically on page 2-94 ou la page 2, 197 pour la version française,
Page 297 for the French version.
ability, marine operations response, fisheries, marine navigation, and aquatic ecosystems. So if I turn to slide 4, nous présentons les chiffres d'une manière semblable au tableau.
We've presented figures in a similar manner to the table on page 2 of the publication.
English version. Cependant, nous avons ajouté un niveau.
However, we added at the bottom something to provide additional information.
19 total 2.45 billion, which represents a net increase of 244.7 million over last year. In slides 5 and 6, I will outline some of the key adjustments. These items can also be found on page 2-94 in the highlights section. Our largest increase is related to the Oceans Protection Plan at 275 million. The deputy provided some examples of what the OPP is allowing us to do in her opening remarks. The next increase at 244.7 million is funding stemming from the comprehensive review of our programs and services to ensure we are able to maintain mission-critical services to Canadians. There is also an increase of 58.6 million in the Atlantic Fisheries Fund, which is now included in main estimates. This 7-year initiative, which started in 2017-18, supports the fish and seafood sector in Atlantic Canada as it transitions through significant challenges facing the region. The final increase I will highlight today is an additional 42.2 million for the ongoing renewal and expansion of our Indigenous fisheries programs and initiatives, which support the commitment to promoting the economic resilience of Indigenous communities. On slide 6, we present 2 additional planned adjustments. They represent planned decreases to funding profiles as the initiatives are nearing successful completion and the funding is winding down. This funding was temporary in nature. The first is a funding profile change to our federal infrastructure investments. The majority of these initiatives have been successfully completed. The second relates to funding for the offshore fishery science vessels as the vessels are approaching the completion stage. On the last slide, we've outlined DFO's Budget 2018 measures. This information is similar to the Budget 2018 annex included in these main estimates, specifically page A14 ou la page A16 pour la version française.
Page A6 for the French version.
Bryson's estimates reform. Please note, before DFO can access any of these amounts, all initiatives will require approval of TB ministers. The budget implementation vote sets clear parameters for the allocation of funds. We cannot seek additional funding, nor can we reallocate towards other initiatives or other purposes. Treasury Board Secretariat will report the allocations by department and by measure to Parliament on a monthly basis. Je vous remercie de m'avoir donné l'occasion d'être ici.
I'd like to thank you for giving me the chance this morning to talk about the main estimates. My colleagues and myself would now be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hardy.
Madam Chair, I'd like to take a moment before our questions begin to officially move a notice of motion that was made last month. The motion reads as follows: that the committee undertake a study to examine the regulation of the West Coast fisheries, specifically in relation to fishing licenses, quotas, and owner-operator and fleet separation policies, in order to evaluate the impact of the current regime on fisheries management outcomes, the distribution of economic benefits generated by the industry, and the aspirations of fishers and their communities, and to provide the government with options and recommendations to improve those outcomes, and that the chair shall be empowered to coordinate the necessary witnesses, resources, and scheduling to complete this task.
Mr. Hardy, thank you. Mr. Finnegan?
Madam Chair, if I could, I would like to propose an amendment, a short amendment to the motion. At the end, if we could add, starting no later than February 2019. If the
There's have my copy. This was the motion that was, there was a notice of motion for this last month. Any discussion on the motion? Or sorry, on the amendment? Okay, are we ready to move to a vote on the amendment, first of all? All in favor of the amendment? Okay, now on the main motion as amended. All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you very much. So we'll now go to our round of questioning. And I believe the first 7 minutes we have Mr. Rogers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I say welcome to our officials and thank you for being with us today. I'm going to focus my questions on a couple of topics, but first, small craft harbors is very important to my riding of Bonavista Beer and Trinity, with over 100 of the harbors in these coastlines, or on the coastlines in my riding. Fishers and recreational boaters rely on them for both their livelihood and the enjoyment they get from recreational boating. So on this note, I was pleased to see such significant investment of $250 million into maintaining our small craft harbors. It is clear that government cares about investing in the coastal communities that we live in. So could you please tell us here, though, if the department has finalized its investment plans for 2018-2019 as it relates to small craft harbors, and when will we know the plan for allocating this money?
Madam Chair, through you, thank you very much for the question. Yet the allocation through the last budget was a tremendous investment, and the work is going on. I will turn to Sylvie Lapointe, our Assistant Deputy Minister, who has that detail, but I would say very, very soon. A lot of the initial work in potential project identification, looking at some of the requirements, is underway to get to the final list. As well, the regular programming has already been moved underway. So I'll turn to Sylvie.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Yes, we did receive some substantial investments into the program. It's B-based funding, so over a 2-year period, $250 million. We are currently moving the list of projects through approvals. There are the money that we received is for maintenance and repairs and dredging operations for our core fishing harbors, but there's also a significant amount that will be going to divestiture of non-core fishing harbors to reduce the department's risk in this regard. As our deputy mentioned, the A-base funding that we have, about $100 million every year, those projects are underway for this year. And we're confident we'll be able to deliver on the program. We have a strong track record of doing that over the last 3 years. In addition to our A-base funding of $100 million, we've been able to spend over $400 million in additional funds. So as soon as we have the list finalized, we'll be sharing it with the committee.
If I could just ask a subsequent question. How many small craft harbors are expected to benefit from the additional funding over the next 2 years? How is the allocation of funds decided upon for each individual small craft harbor?
So I don't yet have the breakdown of how many harbors will receive funding, but the way the projects are selected with respect to overall maintenance and repairs, they're based on consultations with our harbor authorities, as well as studies that are done on the ground by our engineers to determine the state of the condition of the small craft harbor. So the ones that are in a state of disrepair, that are at risk, where there are a lot of commercial harvesters accessing those harbors and there are significant socioeconomic impacts to the communities, those will be the harbors that are placed on a priority basis. With respect to the ones that will be divested, it's very much dependent on the state of readiness with respect to negotiations with municipalities, with the governments, with third parties that are prepared to take on the small craft harbor.
Thank you. With regards to the Oceans Protection Plan, we have an historic investment in protecting our oceans, which is the lifeblood of many of our communities, of course. I was proud that this plan provided for the reopening of the Coast Guard substation, which you referenced in your opening comments, and allowed for the building of 2 new lifeboat stations, one that is located in my riding in Old Perlican. Could you please inform us how the funds for the Ocean Protection Plan have been rolling out and the progress we've made on the various pillars of the plan?
Madam Chair, through you, thank you very much for the question. This year, the rollout of the Oceans Protection Plan is really going to be a huge focus for the department. I also referenced in my opening remarks some of the contribution funding that will go to many of our third parties through restoration projects. Those are going to happen across the country, and they're really going to be a tremendous advantage as we work to restore critical habitat across the country. The Commissioner of the Coast Guard, and actually Assistant Commissioner Pelche, can talk to you about some of the investments in the Coast Guard investment, I would say, in a couple of areas. In the people, you know, building up the capacity that we've frankly lost in terms of the men and women who serve Canadians in the Coast Guard, also in the physical assets that have been coming, and purchasing vessels and situating search and rescue on shore, also working through a lot of the, you know, the really basic infrastructure, the radar, the ability to detect vessels and follow through. Mario, do you have other?
Sure. Again, it's a lot about people, but a lot about equipment as well too. So, a number of ships, radar site, emergency response equipment was key to our ability to respond on water. So we're renewing our entire suite of emergency response equipment, purchasing a mobile command post as well too. So ready to deploy people in the field, ready to take action and proper management. We're also
Thank you,
looking
Mr. Pelletier. That's the 7 minutes is now up. So maybe somebody else can finish that line of questioning if you'd like. Now going to Mr. Doherty for 7 minutes, please.
Thank you. Thank you to our witnesses being here. Ms. Blewett, how many federal court cases challenging the minister's decisions are you fighting right now?
Madam Chair, through you, thank you for the question. Are you talking about the Arctic Surf Clam?
How many federal court cases challenging the minister's decisions are you fighting right now?
So, Madam Chair, through you, unfortunately, I don't have a particular number, okay, and we'll get back to you if there's information.
Ms. Blewett, you gave the minister 7 options regarding the Arctic Surf Clam proposal. Did you advise him 5 nations was the best?
Madam Chair, through you, thank you for the question. Our job was to review all of the applications. We actually received 9. The department deemed that 2 were ineligible, so there were the remaining 7. We assessed those 7 against criteria, direct benefits.
Just I'm sorry to cut you off, but okay, my time is short.
Sure.
You gave the minister 7 options. Did you advise him 5 nations was the best?
So our job was to present the minister through the memorandum with options for his selection.
Does the minister often direct the department to help a proponent complete essential bid criteria? For example, he asked you to help 5 nations find their Indigenous partners. Is this how the minister normally works?
Madam Chair, through you, with respect to a decision docket that comes through, very often any docket can receive additional instructions. Dockets are the advice from departments to ministers, and it's typical that there can be incremental instructions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When you presented him with Five Nations as an option, were you aware of any family connections?
Madam Chair, through you, I was not aware of any family connections.
Okay. Ms. Blewett, the minister is subject to a screen on issues involving J.D. Irving Limited, and I noticed the federal court documents disclosure that the decision contained no reference to the matters covered by the screen relating to J.D. Irving Limited. We know the minister's wife's cousin was set to run Five Nations Clam Company. We also know that the Liberal MP Daryl Sampson's brother is the owner of Premium Seafoods, the Five Nations partner. My question to you is, does the department do an ethical screen for all decisions made to determine if there might be a conflict of interest outside the Irving screen? And were you or anyone else in the department aware of the family connections or the close ties to former and currently sitting Liberal MPs?
Madam Chair, thank you for the question. I don't want to miss any elements of that. In terms of a personal connection, I was not aware, and I would say that our department was not aware. Sorry, can I ask you to
Sure.
go back to? I don't want to miss anything.
My other question was, does the department do an ethical screen for all decisions made to determine if there might be a conflict of interest outside the Irving screen?
Madam Chair, thank you. So we focus on the ethical screen that a minister would have set up through the Ethics Commissioner, and it is related to the J.D. Irving screen. We do not look at considerations over and above those formal screens put in place.
Okay. Ms. Blewett, the minister has claimed that the purpose of the new Arctic surf clam license was to involve and reconcile with Indigenous peoples, correct?
Madam Chair, yes, that's correct.
By this, then, it would make sense for the minister to pick a proposal that mostly involves Indigenous peoples, correct?
Correct, that's the intent.
There were various proposals with 100% Indigenous ownership, yet as it stands, Five Nations only has 25% Indigenous ownership. In fact, Five Nations had the least amount of Indigenous ownership. This doesn't seem to be in line with the minister's claimed purpose of Indigenous reconciliation, especially when we learn that Five Nations have various ex-Liberal members and family members in charge. How do you explain this decision?
Madam Chair, thank you for the question. Mr. Doherty, as you would know, the job of the department, so we went through all of the proposals that we got through an expression of interest, and it certainly was, as you point out, the intent was to ensure that the benefits of fishery would go to. So I'll go fast.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Certainly the intent is to make sure that the benefits go to Indigenous Canadians. We provided the advice to ministers. I should say, if I can just give some context, this is probably the first time that government made the effort to specifically allocate a quota like this through to Indigenous Canadians. So,
Ms. Blewett, I'm going to stop you right there
Okay.
because I have a document with me right here. It's a news release dated July 17th, 2015.
Yeah.
It is talking about the expansion of the total allowable catch of the Arctic surf clam to increase from 38,756 tons to 52,655 tons, and specifically talking about the 2016 fisheries management. It also talks about the consultation with the current license industry and First Nations also. So I don't believe that is an accurate or fair comment that you've made.
Madam Chair, so thank you. Perhaps let me put a finer point on it. It was to explicitly include as the primary beneficiary Indigenous Canadians. So I didn't mean to slight a previous process. We do our best all the time to make sure that we consult to the extent we can with Indigenous partners, governments, First Nations, and also stakeholders. We do our best.
Ms. Blewett, are you currently aware that Five Nations clam is not, they're having trouble securing financing?
So that's actually not the understanding that the department has, and the corporation has made it clear to the department that they wish to proceed.
Thank you.
Mr. Donnelly, your 7 minutes, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to our departmental officials for joining us today. In November 2016, the government announced the $1.5 billion over 5 years for the Ocean Protection Plan, so that's about $300 million a year. How much of that $1.5 billion has been spent to date?
Madam Chair, thank you for the question, Mr. Donnelly. I may turn to our CFO to give a bit of a breakdown. Jennifer.
The breakdown of the spending to date.
I didn't want to break down. I just wanted to know the number.
The
overall
number?
Yeah.
So, based on the information we have, it's approximately $150 million that has been spent to date.
Thank you. And how much of that has been spent on oil spill response specifically?
Ask the Mario to...
Yes.
So the OPP is to ramp up our capacity. The oil spill response is part of our A-base numbers. I can get back to you with the exact number of money we spend on oil spill response. But
do you have an approximation?
For the ER program, do you have it quickly? We'll get back to you with the exact number of money we spent on oil spill response for last year.
Okay, thank you. And how much has been spent on the Pacific Coast?
We'll get that to you as well, too.
Okay. And, well, I guess it's going to be hard for you to answer this next question about what exactly is the money for oil spill response on the Pacific Coast been spent on. Is it equipment or research? What type?
So for the response per se, we'll give you the answer. For the Ocean Protection Plan, for the buying of new equipment and supporting the Ocean Protection Plan for the Coast Guard, it's about $60 million. That includes the work to buy new equipment. That includes the work to upgrade our operational network to make the Marine Communication Traffic Services system more reliable, not to rely on third party. And some of it as well too went to the towing vessel, the emergency towing vessel that we're just about to, we're in the bid evaluation process. We should announce the contract award likely later this month and for start of operation in the fall.
Okay, thank you. And through the OPP, enhanced preparedness and response capability, the department will undertake science research to evaluate various oil spill products, how they behave, and how they behave in different environmental conditions to help inform risk and assessment and decision making. So how has the department advanced preparedness and response capability?
Madam Chair, through you, thank you. I might touch on a first part of it. One of the things that has been interesting through the science part of the department, we really have been looking at the fate and behavior of oil in water. Actually, our science folks let us know yesterday that Canada is participating in DFO specifically in some international science trials with Norway, looking at exactly how oil behaves in water, and we're trying to then make sure we apply that through our Ocean Protection Plan. Mario may have the details on the update, but I just want to give you that science update because it is something that's recurring. The other thing, as we look across,
Sorry,
globe,
could I jump in and ask about specifically diluted bitumen? Do we know if that sinks or floats in ocean conditions?
So, Madam Chair, thank you for the question. The responses that we've seen through science, and we'd actually be very happy to provide you with that work. We're not seeing, as I recall, characteristics of that substance very different from other substances. Some of the science work is ongoing, and as I say, Canada is leading through DFO with our scientists. We're really focused on that as part of our OPP science investment. Mario, anything to add there?
No, exactly. The work is ongoing. What we've noticed is exactly the behavior. It doesn't tend to deviate from the product we already know. As a matter of fact, depending on, again, the temperature and the type of water, seawater, fresh water, it will vary a little bit, but it will float on the water for initially to give time to the response organization to do a proper response.
How long will it float for? And can you forward the committee the study that tells us this?
The research done to date, we'll see what we can provide. Yes.
How long does it float for?
We're talking about days and weeks and not hours. I wouldn't want to put an exact number of days, but it's days and weeks.
You're saying that dilbit, if a large spill happened, let's say, dilbit, diluted bitumen would float for weeks?
And depending on the condition, again, depending on the sea state, the water temperature. So some of the research that was done is on calm water, but we'll get you some more details.
Okay, thanks. How much time do I have?
5 seconds.
Oh, not a lot. Well, I was going to ask on the fisheries and aquaculture programs, the budget 2018 announced $11 million over 2 years. So how is this investment reflected in the main estimates?
Madam Chair, thank you very much for the question. Philippe?
So we already have the process and approval to spend the money, so it's in the DFO budget. I don't know exactly in which page it is, but it's the renewal of the Sustainable Aquaculture Program that was done for 2 years to allow us the time to respond to the report like the CSD report and make sure that when we will renew the program for a longer term, we will have the proper adjustment to modernize.
Thank you, Mr. Morin. Mr. Hardy now for the final 7 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, everybody, for being here. So there's quite a bit of additional funding, and I want to get a sense from you as to how this funding is being applied vis-a-vis the longer 10 to 15 year history of funding envelopes for the ministry. It's been well canvassed that you faced cutbacks, from say 2006 through 2015. Now funding has been increased first for science and now for other things. Are you going back and restoring things that were cut, or are you leaving some things off the table now and moving forward into new areas?
Madam Chair, thank you very much for that question. I really appreciate that. The investment has really been substantial for the department over the last 2 budgets, and it's making a big impact in our department. I might just talk about some of, we call it the
briefly, if you can,
the integrity funding.
Questions.
So we're starting to be able to reinvest in some of the infrastructure, the actual labs. There's the human resource side, hiring the new scientists. We brought on 135 new scientists, but we're actually being able to shore up the real property, the wharfs, the labs, making those really sound. They're kind of boring investments. For our department, actually, IT is pretty critical when you've got scientists that actually can't download the data because they don't have the IT space, or making sure that we've got connections coast to coast to coast. That backbone infrastructure investment has really made a big difference. To your question about what we're doing with it, I do want to stress we're not sort of just moving the money back to the way it was always done. Actually, this is our opportunity, and as a management team, we're focusing on the mandate commitments that our department is driven by and the results framework and the architecture that we have, we're trying to allocate the resources to the highest and best use for outcomes for the department. So it's an opportunity for us to actually make sure we're thinking it through and maximizing the investments.
Good. Well, I'll stop you there because I wanted to get specific with respect to the Smallcraft Harbor funding. When was the last time that the basic funding envelope was increased for small craft harbors?
Thank you very much for the question. As Sylvie mentioned, it's been B-based funding, and I'll turn to Sylvie sort of for those specifics on that.
I have one more question after that, so again, a short answer would be appreciated. Thank you.
My recollection is it's probably not been since the early 2000s, late 90s that our A-based budget would have expanded.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. Aquaculture. You know, we had an incident in Washington State over a year ago now, I think, where there was a huge escape, and based on that, Washington State is moving away from ocean-based aquaculture. What is the department's reading of the state of aquaculture on the West Coast? Because I understand that the conditions on the East Coast are different and the approach is different. But on the West Coast, what are you seeing? What are you hearing? Where are you going?
Thank you very much for the question, Madam Chair, through you. Actually, I should say aquaculture on the West Coast, it does warrant a lot of our attention. Actually, late last night I spoke with the Deputy Minister from British Columbia because we're trying to work collaboratively with provinces as they work their way through aquacultures. On the West Coast, Indigenous engagement is really important. You referenced the escape in Washington State. It certainly has raised the profile and lots of questions. What we've done, Canada's Chief Science Advisor, Dr. Mona Nemer, is actually, through the Minister's Office, engaged her to have a look at how we're doing in our decisions on aquaculture. Are we adequately considering science? Is science the backbone for the decisions? And that's going to be really strongly guiding us. The science is changing all the time, and we expect that science is going to continue to come out. And so I would say, where are we going? We want to work, again, as I mentioned, with British Columbia to find what's acceptable in that jurisdiction. We have a different management regime, as you will know. For example, there's lots of discussion about aquaculture in the Broughton area. The province is responsible for the tenure, so that's where they're located. And then DFO does the licensing. So we work cooperatively to try to make sure that we are achieving the best outcomes. We also do some joint science together.
If I have time for one more question? Oh, lovely. Per the motion that we tabled this morning, we've seen research that says that the fishery on the West Coast is underperforming. Alaska's doing well, the East Coast is doing well, even with lower catches. Average incomes are going up. The prices at the wharf are in good shape, but not so much in British Columbia. And a lot of fingers point to the ITQ system, where all of a sudden you're getting a huge concentration of ownership, and the separation that you see as very core to the belief on the East Coast isn't there on the West Coast, and it appears that many communities are suffering. Now, if we wanted to take another look at this, is this like trying to unscramble an egg, or is there a way forward?
35 seconds, please.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to turn to Kevin Stringer, who's smiling from your question. Yeah.
Thanks for the question. Hugely different histories on the West Coast and East Coast in terms of how the fishery developed. The core policies around owner-operator, you have to be on the boat, and fleet separation, a processing company can't own a fish license, were established back in the 70s and 80s. And the fishery is being developed since that time. That said, are there things that you can do with respect to the inshore fleet and the independent fleet on the West Coast? Certainly that can be done, and we note with interest that the committee is going to take a look at that.
Thank you, Mr. Stringer. Going now to our 5-minute round. Mr. Doherty for 5 minutes, please.
If Five Nations is proceeding, have they identified a boat, and when will they start fishing?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, through you.
Quickly.
I'm going to ask you to repeat that.
If Five Nations is proceeding, have they identified a boat, and when will they start fishing?
I just want to maybe back you up in terms of that. So the department actually has not given a license yet,
Okay,
right?
thank you. Then with that, Ms. Blewett, will you ensure that the 2018 surf clam quota will be maximized for value this year?
Madam Chair, again,
Yes or no?
I'm not sure that's a yes
Okay.
or no question.
Thank you. Commissioner, during your last appearance before this committee, you were requested to table the department's report on the MV-IVIC, the heavy icebreaker proposed as part of Project Resolute. You said you would provide it, but later you wrote that you were unable to provide it, this because you could not disclose it under the access to information rules. Commissioner, I'm asking you today, can you table with this committee by the end of this week the letter from the ATIP Commissioner which directed you not to disclose this document?
Mr. Doherty, thank you for your question. And Madam Chair.
Yes? No?
If I may, as of yesterday, you have received from us a redacted report related to the MV-IVIC. We have done our best to comply with the spirit of the confidentiality restrictions that we believe apply, and we will await further direction from you on that report.
Commissioner, I'm asking you again, can you submit to the committee by the end of this week the letter from the ATIP Commissioner which directed you not to disclose that document?
Madam Chair, we applied the confidentiality provisions as we understand them. We didn't seek direction from the Commissioner.
In previous testimony, Deputy Commissioner Smith outlined a schedule for receiving the first 4 vessels from Seaspan. Can you tell us, A, when you expect to have the first 3 OFSV in full operational capability, when you expect to have the OOSV achieve FOC, and can you also table with the clerk the total estimated cost for each of these vessels?
Madam Chair, we expect to have the first of the OFSV offshore fishery science vessels in full operation for the science season that starts summer 2019. The following 2 OFSV ships are expected to be in full operation for the following science season. We do not have a final price on the oceanographic vessel as we haven't entered into a construction contract for that vessel, and we'd be happy to provide financial information related to the OFSV project subject to any confidentiality that we have that we have to apply.
Commissioner, can you table with the clerk by the end of this week a full outline of funds allocated to the Canadian Coast Guard to acquire new icebreakers which are not currently contracted under the NSS, and can you advise the committee when we can expect to see the department issue its first RFP for these new build ships? Will it be 2018, 2019, or later?
Madam Chair, we'd be happy to provide the information that we have subject to any confidence that may apply.
Thank you. Commissioner, can you outline for the committee what vessels the Canadian Coast Guard has available to respond to an oil spill or chemical spill in the high Arctic if one were to occur, A, this coming season, this coming winter? Please provide a response to the clerk in writing before the end of this week so we might review this before the summer recess.
We'd be happy to provide information, Madam Clerk, and we'd be happy to provide an outline of that answer now if that is what's being asked for.
I would like it in writing if possible.
We'd be happy to provide that.
Thank you. Commissioner, we understand that the Canadian Coast Guard Terry Fox is a converted icebreaker, and it has been a workhorse. The ship has recently run aground. Can you explain how important the Terry Fox is to the fleet and what your plans are to replace it, given the fact a replacement for this ship was not contracted as part of the National Shipbuilding Program to Seaspan?
Madam Chair, thank you for the question. The Terry Fox is indeed an extremely important ship in our fleet as one of our 2 heavy icebreakers. As noted, the ship did touch ground and will be undergoing a period of dry dock repair. It will be back in service as part of our Arctic program this summer, and we're able to cover all Arctic requirements in our program by reallocating resources internally.
Thank you, Mr. Hutchinson. We received documentation that will be distributed after this meeting. It just came in yesterday that you're looking for in the AVIX. So that'll be distributed after this meeting. Okay, thank you. Going to Mr. Finnegan for 5 minutes, please.
And thank you to all the witnesses to be here this morning. And I'm just going to ask a question. It doesn't have to be particularly anybody that can answer it. As you know, in my riding of Miramichi with the Miramichi River, there is a huge abundance of the striped bass. And you know, it usually is a good thing. That is a good fish to eat, and it's a fun fish to fish. I've witnessed it myself. We had the Striped Bass Cup last week with over 1,000 people participating, if you count everybody on the water. So it was all good. The issue, however, that we're hearing from some concerned people along the Miramichi River is, you know, at what point is the overabundance of that particular species, which is a native species of the Miramichi. And it is also, the Miramichi, particularly the little southwest, is, as far as we know it, the spawning ground for the whole Gulf. And this committee was on the road last fall, and we were all the way up to Cape Breton and also to Gaspé, and they've never seen the amount of striped bass that we're seeing now. So some of the concerns, and Sunday there was a rally, and a lot of people were concerned, and I attended that rally to hear their concern and also answer their questions. Some of the concerns are, you know, we don't have, or at least they wouldn't know what the upper reference point would be. You know, when do we have too much that could affect other species, particularly the Atlantic salmon, but also, you know, the shad, the smelts, and some of the trouts and some of the other species, as the striped bass is a very predatory fish. So one of the questions that they asked was, again, what would be the upper reference point? Do we have that? Have we established that? At what point would we apply measures or expand the catch allocation?
Madam Chair, thank you very much for the question, and I would note thanks very much for your work with the department as we continue to look into really the prevalence of the species. Sylvie would have the answer in terms of the reference levels and impact on other species.
Thank you. Yes, as you've noted, this is a species that's certainly very abundant right now and expanding, and as such, we did increase the bag limit this year and the season. We're also looking at commercial fishing opportunities for some First Nations. Having said that, we are taking quite a precautionary, progressive approach to increasing harvests of that stock. It wasn't that long ago that it was a species of concern and in quite poor condition. So we're trying to be as precautionary as possible, and we're still trying to understand the dynamics of the population as well as its impacts on other species, including, as you mentioned, Atlantic salmon. There was a study that we conducted with the Atlantic Salmon Federation that did find some smolts of Atlantic salmon in the stomachs of striped bass, but it ranged from about 2% to 17%. And we are continuing work this summer to look at stomach contents, working with harvesters and outfitters.
Thank you. And another question or concern was that since last year, we did implement a river closure at a certain point, especially where the spawning occurs at a certain time of year, which is actually this week for this year. And a lot of people are questioning the science behind that because a closure was never implemented when the numbers were low, and now there's a closure on the river, and they're asking why we have that closure, because that prohibits anyone from fishing any other species at that same time. So would you have an answer that I could take back to them? Thank you.
So that 5-day spawning closure is based on the best available science we have, so it's there to protect the spawners. We've worked over the last few years to make sure that we get the timing just right so that we're not unduly impacting harvesting opportunities. But from a science perspective, there's a strong feeling that that spawning closure is required.
Thank you. And also, you mentioned the indigenous commercial fisheries, which I think is well received, and we're all hoping that that takes place. Do you have any more information as to when that might happen and what roadblocks there are, if any, as to the harvest and sale of that good eating fish? I guess that good tasting fish too.
10 seconds, please.
We're working with First Nations. We hope to finalize that commercial exploratory fisheries soon, and we understand that they have developed some markets for it.
Would you have a number as to how many they would catch?
Thank you, Mr. Finnegan. Sorry. Mr. Doherty, 5 minutes, please.
Will you ensure that the 2018 surf clam quota will be maximized for value this year?
Madam Chair, thank you for the question. One of the things that we look at...
It really is just a yes or no, Madam Ms. Blewett.
Respectfully, what I'd like to expand on is we look at the science, we look at the access, we look at a number of pieces. So value, you know, there are a number of ways you could break that out, and if you want to push it to, again, science, Indigenous access, commercial value, we're doing our very best to go through a new process.
Okay, I'm going to take that as
we're going to do our best.
Commissioner, we are concerned that you're looking at the Arctic offshore ships, which are being built for the Navy to meet your operational needs. Rather than build new icebreakers, can you outline in writing for us how the Arctic offshore ships meet your operational needs, and what are its limitations from a Canadian Coast Guard operational perspective?
Madam Chair, the AOPS vessel is an extremely capable vessel for Arctic patrol. It's not built to be an escort icebreaker, and it's not under consideration as an escort icebreaker. I'm happy to put that on the record here. I'm happy to put that in writing as requested.
Please, thank you. Commissioner, can you table with the clerk by the end of this week a report on how the Louis Saint Laurent heavy icebreaker was used between November 2016, May 2017, and November 2017 to May 2018? Please also indicate the missions on which it was used to break polar class 3 ice during the last 2 years.
I don't want to overpromise on this, Madam Chair. I don't know that we'd be able to break it down kind of to the number of times the Louis had to break polar class 3 multi-year icebreaker captains and commanding officers encounter a variety of situations in a single day, and to break that out into a number of times may simply not be possible from an operational perspective.
Thank you. And with that, Madam Chair, I'm going to turn my time over to Mr. Deltel.
2 minutes and 30 seconds, Mr. Deltel.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you very much, Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to talk about the agreement with Five Nations clam that was reached last year. Is this the first time that you can remember that a fishing contract was given to a company that has no fishing boats? Yes or no?
Madam Chair, the department doesn't have information about the specifics of that at the moment. We've not received that information, so the department is continuing to go through the process.
Alors, Madame la Présidente.
Madam Chair, how come the department has given a fishing contract to a company that has no fishing boats, and you don't even know if it has a fishing boat?
Thank
you for your question.
Actually, yet given a license to any of the for the fourth license, so that's not occurred yet.
Madame la Présidente, si
Madam Chair, Deputy Minister does not know if a contract was given or not, but what we know is that on February 21st, the Minister held a wonderful press conference, and he was very proud about the consultations with the First Nations, even though the Minister in Newfoundland said this wouldn't be good news. How come the department gave a contract to a fishing company that has no fishing boats, and you say you don't even know if they have boats or not? How can that be the case?
We went through an expression of interest process, and we're continuing to work with the proponent that was chosen, but a license has not yet been given, and we're working through the process.
Vous n'êtes pas juste vous qui travaille sur la façon dont tout ça.
You say you're working on the process, but the Ethics Commissioner is also investigating this, but this is another file. But how come the department was able to give its approval and announced an agreement with the Financials Clam in February, and even though you said they haven't given a permit, and this company, which is supposed to be doing fishing, doesn't even have fishing boats? Thank you for your question.
We're able to provide the minister with options, looking at the benefits potentially coming to reallocating this fishery. We gave 7 options to the minister to take a look at and to make selection through.
So the minister pick up the best for his own interest.
Thank you, Mr. Dittel. Thank you, Ms. Blewett. That's your time. Going now to Mr. McDonald, please, for your 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I first want to comment on a question from my colleague, Mr. Doherty, on the department ensuring the full value of any fishery. I don't think the department, many people hold quotas, whether they be an IQ, a trip limit, daily, weekly. The department doesn't dictate whether that full quota is ever caught. That's up to the individual quota owner. They make a business decision to either fish it or not. So I don't think it's the department's role to guarantee that any quota be fully catched or harvested for any value. But on the Arctic surf clam issue, one question to the department, I guess. Does the department believe the minister made the right decision on the allocation of this quota?
Thank you very much for the question, Madam Chair, through you. The department, we looked at the proposals that came in. Again, we received 9. 2 were clearly ineligible. They just did not meet the bar. And the remaining were assessed against criteria. Again, direct significant benefits to Indigenous communities, contribution to conservation was an important consideration for us, the ability to process and market, and looking at the feasibility of it. We gave options. We assessed each of the proposals against those criteria, and under the Fisheries Act, the ministerial authority to make that decision is exactly appropriate. So we provided that to the minister for his decision.
Thank you. You mentioned earlier in some testimony that DFO Science is partnering with Norway and whatnot, looking at oil spill cleanup and how they do things and whatnot. That kind of perked a little bit of interest for me to partner with Norway, because have we considered doing the same thing with regard to the seal population? Like, Norway had a problem with seals and they resolved it. The comments we get from the department here at committee when we ask about seals is that there's no scientific proof that the seals are making a detrimental effort, I guess, to harm any of our fish stocks. So would the department look at partnering with Norway to see what they did to try and solve it? Because they're eating fish. The department, there's a study that the department did a while back that says how many pounds of fish they eat every day, but yet they don't damage the capelin stock, they don't damage the salmon stock, they don't damage the northern cod stock. So would the department look at trying to do something with Norway on that to see what they did to solve the seal problem?
Madam Chair, thank you very much for the question, and we'd be very happy to speak with them. We're doing Look, one of the things that we're trying to make sure that we do, we're trying to bring our best possible advice on any topic. So where there are international experts or opportunities to maximize our understanding and benefit, absolutely. So we'll be happy to follow up. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Time? 1.5 minutes. It's come to my attention that we've had a number of fishermen present to committee over the past year or so. A couple of individuals presented in our last study that we were almost completed now, vessel regulations.
I've been told since they've appeared before committee, and some of their testimony gave a scathing, I guess, report of the local DFO in Newfoundland and Labrador. Since then, since they've started fishing, a couple of these individuals seem to feel like they've been targeted by DFO with regards to the number of boardings by officials to inspect what they've got in their hole, what they've been catching, size and everything else. They feel they're being discriminated against because of the testimony that they gave here before committee. Would the department please look at that, or can you comment on if you think that's a good value for your resources spent by doing that?
Madam Chair, thank you for the question. I'm really surprised, and I'm sorry about that correlation. You know, when we do fisheries enforcement, we do think that that's an important part of our mandate. However, I'd be really shocked that there would be any sort of, conclusion about reprisal for sure. I don't think that that's in our makeup. But for sure, Sylvie, I don't know if you have anything to add. However, we would, again, it's an important part of our mandate as we look at particularly bringing the prospect of a new Fisheries Act. We need to make sure that we do have people available around the country to make sure that we enforce our new mandate. But Sylvie, any thoughts?
Thank you. That's time. So we're now going to go to Mr. Donnelly for his 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And there's been a lot of discussion about Kinder Morgan lately. So has a risk assessment been done on the decision to purchase the Kinder Morgan pipeline as it relates to the impact of a diluted bitumen spill on the Pacific Ocean?
Madam Chair, thank you very much for the question. From our perspective, we look at our ability to do environmental response. We've not done a direct correlation with that. We do look at vessel traffic, and we do look at any increase in vessel traffic. It's pretty interesting. We do look at, for example, the coast of British Columbia. I'm most familiar with it in the context of what we're doing for endangered species, right? Preserving the southern resident killer whale. We look at and monitor how much vessel traffic there is. We also do that to make sure we're prepared in context of spill response, so we would know.
But just on the orcas, and there's a 700-fold increase proposed, so that's essentially a tanker a day increase. So our scientists are telling us that any additional noise on those southern resident killer whales is going to be a problem. Has there been a study to show the impact of what that increased traffic will do to those whales?
Madam Chair, thank you for the question. With respect to the killer whales, what we're actually doing is proactively looking at measures to reduce vessel noise and actually increasing access to foraging areas, and looking at measures that we can ensure that vessel traffic stays out of those critical habitat areas for the southern residents.
Okay, and then turning back to the Sustainable Aquaculture Program, and I'm going to say in quote, in support of an improved regulatory system. Will funding from the Sustainable Aquaculture Program be used to address the concerns raised in the 2018 spring report of the Commissioner on Environment and Sustainable Development entitled Salmon Farming? She was very critical of the department on specifics to do with salmon farming on the West Coast.
Yeah. Madam Chair, thank you very much for the question. For sure, the Commissioner had some serious comments about aquaculture and the things that we're working on and quite focused on, right? Making sure that we complete the assessments on key diseases. As I mentioned, working with provinces to make sure that we are lined up with their priorities, and looking at strengthening our enforcement on aquaculture facilities and making sure that we are executing our obligations.
Okay, so the question was about funding.
Yeah.
And that, I'm assuming from your answer, is a yes.
It's a yes, sorry. I wanted to try to fill in every...
Okay, yeah. And the one thing I've been hearing from the province is that they have had a lack of involvement from the federal government on salmon farming on the West Coast. They feel they're under attack, and they have had no support. They feel they have 10% of the jurisdiction, while the feds have 90 or increased amount of jurisdiction, and they feel like they've been taking 100% of the focus of what happened since Washington has banned open net farms in their state, and First Nations have occupied farms in British Columbia, and the feds have been absent on this file. Is there going to be increased support coming from the federal government to work with the province in the field in this area?
Madam Chair, thank you for the question. And as I mentioned, I was talking to my BC colleague last night. I met with him a couple of weeks ago. We're really engaged with them very often, and we're trying to be supportive and make sure that we are on the ground and appropriately executing our role and supporting the province where they are looking for that. I know that the provincial and federal ministers, I actually think it might be today or tomorrow, but they are talking. So we work really collaboratively. I've got strong relationships, and again, when I met face-to-face with my colleague a couple of weeks ago, we talked about all of the ways to come to resolution on some key aquaculture issues.
Thank you, Ms. Blewett. We have time for one more round of 5-minute questions. So we're going to go now to Mr. Morrissey, please, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. My first question is to Deputy Minister. Madam Minister, the whole issue around surf clams as it relates to a vessel is an irrelevant fact, given that nobody would acquire a vessel until they had confirmation they were going to indeed be able to fish the quota they were given. Because this vessel would be 20, 30, in the millions of dollars to acquire, and whoever would have access to fish that, they would have the ability to lease or to own a vessel to pursue their quota. Am I correct?
Madam Chair, thank you for the question. For sure, prosecuting that resource it's a significant undertaking, and the capital investment required would be significant. I can't speak to, again, what individual proponents
I'm not
may or may not do.
But they would have access. They could choose to lease a vessel or acquire a vessel, couldn't they?
In any proposal, however a proponent would choose to do it, that's not...
but common business sense would tell you would only execute that after you were assured of the license.
Yeah.
So the question or the line of questioning related to this proponent should have been deemed ineligible because they did not have a vessel is an irrelevant fact.
I would say, and I thank you for the opportunity to just reiterate and reinforce that at the moment the department has not issued an additional license.
So why would you get a boat? Okay. My next question is, given the reality of which is now an issue, will have to be dealt with, the whales in the Gulf region. How successful or how much are you dedicating to the issue of ropeless trap markers for the crab fishery, which unless technology develops in that area, then you're going to continue to have to shut significant areas to fishing?
Madam Chair, through you, thank you very much for the question. We're incredibly seized with making sure we do the very best we can for conservation of the right whales. Again, we think the numbers that we're seeing already do indicate a pretty significant shift. 75, that's about 1/6 of the world's population, unfortunately, of this species. So we're trying to do our very best. We're very cognizant, by the way, just before I get to your question on the fixed gear and the traps, how Canada manages our response to ensuring the safety of these species. It's going to be noted internationally. It impacts our trade. It impacts very significant impacts. So through mechanisms we have, for example, the Atlantic Fish Fund, we're encouraging and in fact are seeing project proposals for exactly that kind of gear. You know, important innovations that will allow I will skip over the technical terms, but you know, putting a trap in the water that can be monitored, followed, and relocated by GPS, and brought to the surface without ropes.
If that was proven, that would allow this industry to continue to fish in areas that whales migrate to, would it?
Thank you for the question. So correct. That's one of the things that we're working through. And actually, at the end of last year, I had the opportunity to go to a scientific conference that it was in Canada for the first time ever. And many American and I would say international cetacean experts were there. And they talked about the ability for that coexistence. And they actually, the scientists are working on those same prototypes to let that kind of interaction happen. They strongly encouraged governments to look at and understand that technology. But yeah.
I have, I'm going to go back to a question on your fishery aquaculture program because...
30 seconds, Mr. Morrissey.
How much money, aquaculture is big business in my part of the country, in Prince Edward Island, especially in the lucrative oyster aquaculture fishery and mussel aquaculture. Could you briefly explain what resources you're putting in that area to ensure that it's sustainable and environmentally sustainable?
Okay. Madam Chair, thank you for the question. We're working quite hard. In 10 seconds, I was going to pass it to Philippe Morel, who could tell you an awful lot about it. But absolutely, the program that we've got 2 years funding for is looking at making sure, honestly, that the environmental premise around operations is supported and reinforced.
Thank you, Ms. Blewett.
Sorry. Philippe, you are ready.
I'm going to go now to Mr. Doherty for 5 minutes, please.
Ms. Blewett, are you aware of the amount of money or funding from the Canadian government that has been delivered to the Elsipogtog First Nation from between February till this date?
Madam Chair, thank you for the question. I'm sorry I'm not aware.
Can you, if you don't have the information today, can you table at your earliest convenience, preferably by the end of this week, the amount of money that the department spent prosecuting this expression of interest, specifically in relation to engaging First Nations in this proposal?
Madam Chair, through you, I will undertake to get you the information that we have.
Okay. Ms. Blewett, last October, the Minister wrote to my colleagues, MP Arnold and MP Elbas, and stated that no DFO resources would be available for aquatic invasive species prevention in British Columbia. On March 20th, the Minister appeared before this committee and suggested that some of the $7.2 million allocated for the aquatic invasive species in Budget 2018 could be applied to BC. Has your department provided new resources for aquatic invasive species in BC? And if so, what are the new resources?
Madam Chair, thank you. Thank you for the question, Madam Chair. I will check to get you the specific breakdown. I should tell you that we're actually looking at support to aquatic invasive species, British Columbia, very active discussions with Alberta, but we'll get you the breakdown.
Thank you.
Or, sorry, Kevin, did you have something to add?
Yeah, so there's new funds for aquatic invasive species that was received. Last year's budget's in this year's main estimates. It is new funds. It builds on the Asian carp program that we had previous 5 years. It expands the Asian Carp Program to $4 million ongoing. It enhances what we have now on sea lamprey, also in the Great Lakes, an extra $2.5 million a year. And there is, for the first time ever, a national core component for aquatic invasive species. So we've got a small national program, okay? And that is about $3 million a year. So it's a fairly small amount, but it is new, and it is allowing us to take a national perspective with respect to aquatic
Again, how much
invasive
is
species.
allocated for British Columbia?
Don't know exactly we can get that, but and don't know if it's even divided by province. But in any case, we can get you the breakdown of the funding.
Okay, I believe that my colleagues have asked for that a few times. So if you can, by the end of this week, Mr. Stringer, thank you. I'm going to go back to Surf Clam and part of the bid criteria, because a lot of talk over the last couple months have been about a vessel. Indeed, my colleagues have mentioned about why would you have a boat if you haven't got a license? Well, part of the bid criteria, the critical bid criteria, was the description of the vessel that would be used to prosecute this fishery and a time frame at which the vessel would be operational. Did Five Nations submit that?
Madam Chair, thank you for the question. As you would know, all of the documentation is quite public. I actually don't have it with me at the moment because it would be seven other binders. But.
They did, but it was a vessel that it was a foreign vessel. It was based out of Massachusetts, and the owner of the vessel, who was actually named or photographed in the bid proposal, was not even aware that his vessel was being used in this bid. Were you aware of that?
Thank you for the question. I was not aware.
Thank you. We're good.
Seconds.
We're good.
You're good? Thank you. Mr. Donnelly, for the final 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Budget 2018 committed $21 million in funding to protecting Canada's nature parks and wild spaces. So my question is, will this funding be invested in Canada's commitment to protect 10% of its oceans and coastlines by 2020?
Thank you for the question. Now I will turn to Philippe, who can give you more of that breakdown.
So the announcement in the budget to meet the conservation target are not related to marine conservation target, although there are some resource for National Marine Conservation Area under Parks Canada to be created in the Great Lakes, but they're not under DFO's jurisdiction. All the money to achieve the 10% target was already approved by Budget 2016 and Budget 2017, and we're confident that we have the necessary resource to meet the target by 2020.
So that sounds like a no. Then the $21 million won't be used. You've already had enough money.
I'm not aware that $21 million is dedicated to DFO, and it's not for that resource, no.
Okay.
It's for Parks Canada.
Yes, thanks. So going back to the OPP, then will the Ocean Protections Plan funding be divided between plan partners, so DFO, Transport Canada, Environment and Climate Change Canada, and Natural Resources Canada? And could you, if that's a yes, could you break that down?
Madam Chair, thank you for the question. I may actually turn to Mario. He's our lead for Fisheries and Oceans in terms of the joined up secretariat. So I could take a stab at the ballpark figures, but of the 1.5 billion, Fisheries and Oceans and the Canadian Coast Guard, we have absolutely the lion's share of that. I would say in the neighborhood 850 million. That's the lion's share of the funding. And Transport Canada, Mario, you can kick me under the table, but I might say around 400 million. Environment and Climate Change has a smaller piece, and NRCan a smaller piece again. But DFO and the Canadian Coast Guard, for sure, we would be the lion's share.
Okay, so that would be probably just 12, 3, so 150 million each for Environment Canada and Natural Resources? Is that around?
Oh, Jeff's jumping in. I must have said something wrong.
I'd be happy to jump in on this. We'd be happy to provide a precise breakdown of this. The number that the deputy just quoted is actually the Coast Guard portion. The total Coast Guard DFO portion is just right around 1.1 billion, and the remainder is divided among the other departments, with the lion's share of that going to Transport Canada. But we can divide that out precisely.
Okay, so you're saying 1.1 billion for the department. Thank you. And then could you give me a quick overview of the marine mammal response plan in the event of an oil spill on the Pacific coast? And this is regards to the OPP.
The response planning is something that is ongoing. So we currently have a response plan in place with the City of Vancouver, the GVIRP, which you may have heard of, the Greater Vancouver Incident Response Plan. We are evolving, if I may put it that way, our process for response planning under the OPP with the RPP, the Regional Response Planning, and it's under that process that a full range of considerations, including marine mammal response, would be included in our planning. Right now, our response planning is very much about containing and removing pollutants from the water, but that's expanding under the RRP. So I don't have a marine mammal response plan in my hand. Through the implementation of the OPP, I will.
Okay, could you send that a response to the request for a response plan in writing to us?
Sorry, I'm not clear on what you're asking for.
Oh, can you send the plan once it's done in writing?
Once the regional response plan is developed, then it'll be a public document.
And what's the timeline on that?
We're entering public consultations on that in the very near term. It will take some time. I would think it's a time, probably later than that. I would think this time next year might be the earliest. It's a multi-party, very broad. It incorporates science, Indigenous interest, provincial interest, the transition from on water to on land. It's a very comprehensive approach. We believe the regional response planning approach is the most comprehensive approach taken to environmental response on water that we're aware of.
Thank you, Mr. Hutchinson. That concludes our rounds of questions. I would like to thank our department officials for appearing today and answering the questions. Sylvie Lapointe, Mario Pelletier, Jeffrey Hutchinson, Catherine Blewett, Kevin Stringer, Jen O'Donoghue, and Philippe Morel. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you being here. We're going to move to the main estimates. I still have to go through the official motions on the main estimates, so we'll just take 2 seconds till our departmental officials leave the table. 2 minutes. We have committee business we still have to do, and we have quite a bit. So 2 minutes. I'll suspend for 2 minutes if you want to grab a coffee. and then we will have to suspend and just go in camera for the next session. You need to now vote on main estimates. Shall vote 1 under Fisheries and Oceans carry? On division? Shall vote 5 under Fisheries and Oceans carry? Shall vote 10 under Fisheries and Oceans carry? Shall I report votes 1, 5, and 10, less the amounts voted in interim estimates under Fisheries and Oceans, to the House? And that concludes then the...
Should you report?
I did.
Okay.
Said that one. Okay. That will conclude main estimates then. I will report those back to the House. We're now just going to suspend to go in camera, so like 10 seconds. you.